Hello, this is Dr. Karen Becker, and today we're going to discuss Canine Genes and Jackets, not the clothing line or how we can dress our pets up, but dog's genotype versus phenotype. The genotype of your dog is the genetic makeup of your dog, which means what the DNA looks like on the inside of your pet. The phenotype, or the jacket, is the exterior of your pet, and that's a man-made produced different types of phenotypes, meaning some dogs have white hair, some dogs have curly hair, some dogs have long legs, some dogs are born with no tail, some dogs are black and white, some dogs have blue eyes. Those are man-made phenotypic exterior characteristics that we produce because really we like the way certain things look. But it's important to recognize that in 1758, dogs were classified initially as Canis domesticus, which is the domestic dog. But here's what's interesting. In 1993, the International Society of Zoologic Nomenclature reclassified dogs as Canis lupus. And those of you that have a biology background probably remember that Canis lupus is also the gray wolf. And what that tells me, and should tell you, is that when dogs were misclassified as Canis domesticus, what we determined through their genetic makeup is that they were genetically identical to gray wolves. So in 1993, they were reclassified under the order Carnivora, which means carnivorous mammals, mammals that consume meat, and then family Canidae, canine, and then one more subset, the genus and species, was Canis lupus. So here's what's interesting. Dogs, domestic dogs, can interbreed with gray wolves, and although you think about a poodle-wolf mix, although that would look kind of strange, the truth is it can happen genetically because their gene pool is, their genetics are the same. Gene pools can of course vary depending on what external phenotypes dogs bring to the table, but it's important to recognize that not the best scientist in the world would be able to differentiate the inside DNA makeup of your domestic poodle versus a gray wolf. Very important to note. I bring you this information because dogs have not evolved when it comes to the inside genetic material changing at all. We know that the whole reason that the reclassification took place was because science made an error in recognizing initially that thinking that there were two separate species when really they were just one species, different external features. It's important to recognize that the first bag of dog food came on the market in the early 1900s, and certainly between the early 1900s, about 100 years until now, certainly no evolution has taken place. Dogs are designed to consume what they have been consuming all along, which is their ancestral diet. So what this means is in early 1900s, people's biggest question is, well, why did dog food even come into existence? Certainly convenience played into this. Dr. Hill from Hill's Science Diet created the first bag of dog food, and he did this for convenience, just like Betty Crocker produced the first boxed cake mix. She was interested in providing convenience for the family. It's important to recognize that the first bag of dog food was brought on the market for a whole host of important reasons, but number one, it was a cheap way to feed dogs. It used rendered human industry byproducts, which means runoff from the human food industry was able to be repackaged and sold as pet food. Number two, dry food is very convenient. Kibbled or dry food can be kept in the pantry. It has a much longer shelf life than, let's say, living foods. Convenience was a big thing because previous to dog food coming into existence are dogs being scavenging carnivores. Scavenging carnivores means that they ate kind of whatever they could find. Dogs will eat berries, dogs will eat from the dump, dogs will catch and kill their own prey, dogs will eat some dead animals. The fancy word is carrion, so they'll scavenge some dead animals. They'll eat some grasses and some berries. Dogs are not necessarily amazingly specific in what they're designed to eat. They have a very broad spectrum of what they're interested in consuming to make up a varied diet. So in order to prevent our dogs from needing or wanting to scavenge, we produced a dog food, which was much easier. But here's what's interesting. It's important for you to recognize that since dogs started consuming this processed dog food 100 years ago, that they've consumed processed foods for less than 1% of their existence. 0.001% of the time, dogs have consumed a processed diet. For 99.99% of the time, dogs have consumed their ancestral diet, which is what they were designed to consume. And you probably know, common sense-wise, that when you put into your body things that help your body run efficiently that you were designed to consume, your body works better. And of course, the same premise holds true for pets. It's important to recognize that dogs, when given the raw materials to have a healthful, excellent nutritional response, because they're being fed a species-appropriate diet, things just plain work better. So here are some of the major differences between kibbled or dry food and dogs' ancestral diets. Number one, their ancestral diet was very, very high in protein. We know that really a dog's diet, we will refer to the rabbit as the role model, contained a lot of protein, a 70 to 80% protein. And then also, I wish I could tell you that dogs would be able to take the fur off the bunny, remove the bone, cook it over a stove, but they didn't. Even now, if you've had the mishap or unfortunate to watch your dogs hunt, it's very painful and unfortunate, but dogs left to their own, many of them will catch and kill prey species and eat the whole thing. They don't take away the pituitary gland or the feet or the head, they eat the whole thing. So the fur provides fiber, the bone provides calcium, the organs nurture the dog's organs, the gastrointestinal tract provides probiotics and enzymes to help provide a functional nutritional response inside the dog's GI tract. The whole package works together. So number one, protein content was very, very high. But here's the sad part. In the kibble-based, not ancestral diet, in our commercially prepared dog food, the majority of the contents in commercially prepared dog foods are carbohydrates. Empty corn, wheat, rice, soy byproducts from the human food industry make up the majority of what falls into our pet foods. If you look at the back of your dog's kibble, most of you will find some type of grain-based filler that's used to offset the cost of expensive meat. The biggest frustration for me as a veterinarian is some of the new low-carb kibbles, although meeting a dog's protein requirements, are vastly inappropriate when it comes to moisture content. And that's the second big difference between the ancestral canine diet and a kibble-based food. The ancestral diet is very rich with moisture. In fact, we know that, most of you know that humans are 70% water in terms of our body constitution makeup. Rabbits are also about 70% water, and dogs need a high moisture diet in order for appropriate organ function, specifically kidneys, to function well. We know with low moisture diets, kibble diets have about 12% moisture, and ultimately speaking, dogs go through much of their life in a state of dehydration, which means they end up with organ dysfunction long term. The third and probably most significant fact that it's important to recognize is that because there's been no change or evolution in the canine GI tract, your dogs are still designed to consume a high protein, high moisture diet with very low carbohydrate. And really the only way that you're going to be able to do this is to pick a food that emulates this in terms of a balanced, commercially available raw food diet or a homemade raw food diet. Keep it right here for part 2 on species-appropriate diets.